Family, welcome to another episode of Financial Freedom. I am your host, Derek Brown, and your accompaniment on this journey. Trust me, over these last few episodes, we've been learning a lot. We have another great guest for you, and we're going to get into some stuff because I've been aching to ask some of these questions about investing. The gentleman we have today is Andre Albertin. He's an expert in REIT. He is also an expert among millennials. He has a podcast. He has a website, which includes a blog. He has free stuff that he's doing for the community and mentorship. He's also doing some things with the Urban League of Greater Atlanta, the Young Professionals Division. He's also helping himself create a millennial financial education that can be unmatched. He is a wonderful person, but he's also doing some things that I'm going to have him talk about as far as stock investing, as far as real estate investing, as far as answering some of these questions I have no idea about. So we're going to be getting into that in just a moment. But as normal, I want to say thank you. March 19th, 2020, in the midst of a pandemic, we launched the Hope TV network. And we went from one view to over 10 million views, from one show to 35 shows. And if it wasn't for your continued support, we wouldn't be able to do this. So if you could, please make sure you like, subscribe, go check us out on many of the mainstream platforms at The Hope TV. That's one word, all caps, at The Hope TV. You can check us out on Facebook. We're on Instagram. You can find us there. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into this show with Andre Albertin. Hey, man, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mr. Brown. I really appreciate this. And yeah, fan of the show.
Man, so I've actually been following you, and I didn't even know that you're on the show. So you have a few things on your podcast, and not only on your podcast, but on your website. You do a lot of blogging as well. Like, you're real free with the information on certain areas. Um, you have a lot of good. You actually have a free stock class that I really want to know about because I've been dabbling in that myself since the beginning of the show. We've had people talk about how you have to be able to make money while you sleep, different forms of income. It may not be the best thing to stow all your money in a savings account, but a stock may give you more returns. You have something working, I think, in the stock area. Educate me about that because I'm nosy. So let me know what's up.
Oh yeah, no worries, man. So no, you're right. I definitely believe you do have to have your money working for you. Queen Bee, she only has 24
Right,
hours in the day, just like the rest of
right,
us, and
right.
she's not working. She's money working for us, so we need to be doing the same to go ahead and create that wealth.
Mm,
Now, for the investing course you mentioned, it's pretty much a big course I made. No fluff, just content. And I made it mainly because, a lot of people will ask me, hey, Andre, how do I
mm,
start investing? And man,
mm.
it's a complicated answer. I can never answer it over Instagram. I can't answer it within 30 minutes or an hour. So I said, okay, well, let me
Okay.
create a course. And that way people can go ahead and really find the way that works for them when it comes to investing because as you know, personal finances is personal for a reason. So I like to give
Right.
people knowledge, the tools that they need to go ahead and get themselves set up. And yeah, I just made it completely free. It's based on a goodwill method too. So if someone
Okay.
wants to pay, they can, and it goes to charity of the month. So it's been
Oh,
doing
that's
pretty
good.
well so far.
That's pretty good, man. So let me ask you this: you seem like a pretty young dude. What moved you into personal finance? You don't see a lot of young black boys like, hey, man, I can't wait to be a personal finance expert when I grow up. Like, where did that come from?
Man, I've been in finance really on and off for about maybe 4 to 5 years now. So I'm 32. My face doesn't really
Mhm.
say it. But
This is true.
yeah,
This is
so
true.
I got started back in Texas like around, man, like 2016. Started
Okay.
studying for my certified financial planner. And then I
Hmm.
worked in a firm. And pretty much there I realized, we were helping retirees, we were helping the wealthy stay wealthy, basically. And I
Okay.
found out, my passion was helping people maintain the wealth, I was helping people build up the wealth. And then that's when we
Okay.
started putting people into the millennials next door. And yeah, ever since
Okay.
then, people just and interested. Like when I'm learning, they're learning right alongside with me. I'm able to teach people, and that's why I've really been able to kind of get more of a reach out there. And yeah, I
Mm.
thought I was good in money, but I was just cheap, so I just had money kind of lying around.
Look, some of the wealthiest people are cheap though. It's
Yeah,
someone said
yeah.
it's not about the somebody said it's not about the money you make or the money you spend, it's the money you keep. The
Amen to that.
and the money you're able to pass down. So I'm with it. I'm with it. Let me ask you this and shameless plug. You
Yeah.
got this stock investor course. What can we expect to get out of this no fluff content?
What you can expect to gather is a lot of information. So I
Okay.
designed this course for people who are saying, I don't know how to invest, not sure where to start. So pretty much what I did,
Mhm.
I just like I grabbed the kitchen sink and I just throw it at people. I'm not sure what's going to stick with them, but something is going to stick. And
Right.
my goal at the end of the day,
Okay.
so someone can get one strategy out of this whole thing. And when you find that
Mhm.
strategy that fits you, you just dive on in. And then you can come back and get the second one, get the third one, and keep diving back in, so on and so on.
Got you. Okay, word. I got you. It's rare you meet people who are willing to give you actual stock investing strategies. You find a lot of people who are willing to sell you their services or a particular group until, for a fee, but for people to offer you free stock investing strategies that are actually legit is pretty rare. So I that's appreciative. I'll probably be looking into that myself. One thing that you mentioned that I mentioned on this show as well is that I'm learning with people just as much as they're learning. So I have the benefit of sharing the information as it's being shared with me on the show. So it's always helpful. Let me ask you this question, and we're going to get into this discussion. When I read your bio, I was wondering if you could define some terms for us, which I know you can, but what is a REIT expert? What do they do? And when do I need to contact one?
So REITs, that stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. And I'm
Okay.
one of the very few people that talk about this stuff. I'm not sure why I'm one of the only ones, but I fell in love with them. Basically,
Okay.
man, you ever stayed in like a Marriott or a Hilton hotel?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, Hilton and Marriott, those are hospitality companies. They don't
Right.
own the actual hotel building. So they
Mm.
are most of the times tenants in those buildings and they pay
Okay.
rent to these real estate investment trust companies.
How did I know
So
that? Okay.
yeah, I mean, most people really wouldn't because those office REIT, a hospital might be owned by a REIT. If you ever been traveling down south, those like Lamar advertising signs.
Right.
Those are owned by REITs as well. So they own the land, they own the billboard, and they kind of make money that way. So the
Okay.
reason why REITs are popular is just because they have to give about 90% of taxable income back to shareholders. So they're pretty good for dividends. And it's an excellent way to invest into real estate without owning real estate. Because if you buy a
Hold on.
house, yeah,
Pause.
yeah.
Wait. You busy being too smart. What's a dividend?
All right, dividend is when the company, let's say, the company's doing well, and they want to give a
Hmm.
small reward back to investors. So that would be a good definition of a dividend to me. So really, when
Okay.
it comes to stocks, man, there's like two main ways to make money. You have capital gains, and that's when your
Hmm.
stock doing well. So you put in $100, the stock is selling for $120. That $20 is going to be your capital gain. The other
Okay.
side to it, they pay out dividends to the shareholders. So I know like a few companies like Home Depot, I want to say Walmart too, they pay some pretty decent dividends. And that way it keeps people investing into the company because they're still getting paid out through that way.
Got you. So both with these REITs and through these stock invested dividends, people make money.
Correct. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, okay. I'm looking at it now because I remember seeing on your website you had a passive income course too. So I'm just like, wait, I'm seeing connections here.
Yeah.
Cool. That's so good to know. So while you're on that, speaking about building that passive income, those dividends, I've heard a few different definitions of wealth. I've heard people define it as how much money you can spend away from work and pay all your bills without worrying about it. I've heard people define it as your ability to maintain your lifestyle outside of retirement. I've just heard a lot of different things. There are some people who've totally gotten rid of the material aspect of wealth. How would you define wealth in coaching some of your financial, in coaching some of the people that you financially manage?
Man, if you ever looked up the definition of wealth, it actually means an abundance of valuable possessions or money. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll notice that it's very broad. So wealth can be anything.
Right.
You know,
Right.
yeah, like cat lady. If she feels like she's wealthy because she has a bunch of cats, bravo to
She's a
you.
cat
Good for you. But yeah. So a big portion of my job usually is to like really dive into people's spirits and say, hey, what does wealthy actually look like to you? Whether that is
Okay.
living in a big house, driving a Mercedes Benz, whether that's just spending more time with your family, whether that's traveling the world while you work from your desk. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many different ways to go about it. And I know for me, I guess my best currency of wealth is my time. I find that my time is invaluable, something I can't get back. So the reason why I
Right.
push myself hard now is so I can get more of my time back later down the road. And that makes me feel wealthy.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Um, I think I remember things by way of like catchphrases because
Mhm.
I think I heard somebody say something like, work how no one else will now so you can live how no one else can later. I think it
Yeah,
was
Dave.
something like that. Yeah, it encapsulates that thought for me. Um, okay, so what's the difference? Is there a difference or is this a component? Uh, what's the difference between the concept of net worth and your wealth?
Mm. There is
Is
a
there a
difference.
difference?
There's a difference between wealth. There's a difference between being rich, definitely your net worth. So I'll say for the net worth, because I'm a big advocate of tracking my net worth. And, obviously
Hmm.
the net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. That equals your net worth. So pretty much if you were to croak,
Hold on,
leave
say
the
that
planet,
again.
yeah. Your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So you take up all
Write
your
that
assets and yep, you got it. And the net worth just says, like, hey, you're worth $100,000 if you were to pass away now. So that's all fine and dandy. The reason why I mainly track my net worth is, not to know how much I'm going to be worth when I pass away, but it helps me stay online. Just because if my
down.
net worth is continually going up, that means I'm still making the most out of my assets.
Okay.
And
So
I did. Yeah, go ahead.
so I read a lot about different issues that may come out of different parts of the black community. So when news reports say the average debt of um, a college student, a black college student, is like $27,000 to $30,000 when they come out,
Mm.
um, and that means if they're minusing their liabilities with their actual assets, they're already 30 in the hole before they even come out of college.
Right.
Got you. That sometimes like every now and then I understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's what else I want to get. I'm trying to get as many little juicy tidbits as I can. Okay, so cool. That's our net worth. The difference between our net worth and our sense of is wealth is material assets, what we pass down. Our net worth is currently our assets minus our liabilities. So when it comes into that, our assets, are stocks automatically an asset or no? Can they be a
All right.
liability or an asset?
If you think too much about it, then it could be a liability. But for the long term, it's an asset. Like that's the easiest way to put it. It's kind of like a car. You buy a car. The moment you drive off the lot, it starts depreciating. So some people
Okay.
say, is that a liability? Is that an asset? But we still put in the asset column. So for stocks, they are assets. But also keep in
Okay.
mind, you don't realize a stock's true value until you sell it. So, stock ABC, they go down. They go. Let's say you buy in at $100, they drop down to
Okay.
$80. Until
Right.
you sell it, you don't even recognize the loss because the next day
Mm.
that stock can go to $120. And even then, you don't recognize the win until you actually sell it. So for the time
Got
being, yeah, you can count it as an asset. But what that is going to be down the road, who knows?
you. Okay, that makes sense because when we talk about this idea of net worth, this idea of wealth, I've
Mhm.
heard discussion about, you can pass down stocks or you could buy stocks for relatives or something of that nature. Um, I hear a lot about people's estate when they pass and how their estate has been handled or managed. And that may come
Right.
as a package as part of their estate. Um, when it comes to stocks, there are some terms, and because I saw so much of this on your page, I'm really about to get into this one because it gets a lot of good information from me too, and hopefully our viewers. Uh, what is day trading?
Ooh. All right. So
He
day
said, "Oh,
trading. It's kind of yeah, it's kind of in the name. You're trading on a daily basis. I think the best way to really put it is you buy stock ABC, and you're not going to be
right,
invested in it no more than, let's say, no more than a year. So some day traders, they do it on a daily basis. So like they enter the stock in the morning, they plan on being out of it by the evening. Other people, they
okay,
can do it on a weekly basis, you can do it on a monthly basis, bi-monthly basis. It really depends on the investor. But yeah, day trading
uh,
is just not buying these stocks to hold on to them long term. And we consider long
okay,
term 1 year.
got you. So day trading is done by a day trader. These are not people who are buying stocks to hold them for a long time and see them appreciate. So I'm
Correct. Yeah.
guessing the stock. Okay, I'm guessing the stocks that they day trade are different than the stocks that people would invest in for long term. Is that correct?
No, not necessarily. So, just
Really?
as an example, let's say electric vehicle companies, and that's really hot now. So,
Right.
people will be on to Tesla. Some people say they're going to do it forever. And, I might do Tesla. I did do Tesla, but I didn't hold on to it for no more than the past 5 months. I would definitely say it depends on your goals. So, if your goal is to make 10% back and you meet that 10% within a week, good for you. You made it. Get on out. If your goal is just to
Right.
hold on for the long term, then you just kind of hold on for the long term.
Okay. So the difference between a day trader and someone buying stocks casually in like Robinhood or Webull app is literally just their goal. That's really the only difference.
Yeah, I think you
Okay.
got it right though. Is it just comes down to goals, and I get this question a lot. Though most people ask, when do I sell a stock? That automatically
Mhm.
tells me you didn't have a goal when you went into the stock, because you can sell a stock at any time, and we don't know what the market is going to do, no matter what somebody says. So it can go up, it can go
Right.
down. So it's hard to
Right.
say, but it just depends on your goals. Like whether your goal was to make a little bit of money, to get dividends, or maybe you just want to wait until like 3 years. It just depends on the individual's goal.
Got you. I want to come back to that in a second. But first I want to ask you, what's the difference? And please help me with this. I hear this all the time. I still don't have a clear conception of what it is. What's the difference between a bear market and a bull market? And are there other kinds of animals? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there are other animals, but we focus on the main two. The best way
Okay.
to think about it is a bear. The bear slashes down, right?
Okay.
And what that means is people have a pessimistic view about the market. So they think the future of the market is going to go down. Just
Okay.
that. And then for the bulls, I guess the horns like go up. So people have an optimistic view of the market and they
Okay.
believe that the stock will continue to go up. And yeah, we've been in the bull market for a few years. I want to say probably the longest one in the United States. But all it means really is like the majority of investors think the market is going to do well the next day.
So a bear market, and this is something I kind of want to get into too as well. A bear market is literally a market in which people think they don't have any confidence in the market, so it's going to drop. I'm guessing they're going to pull out their investment, and so that's going to impact the market as well. And then you have a bull market, which people think is going to, I guess, charge up or the market's going to
Mhm.
increase or whatnot. Okay, cool. I want to discuss this as well because I think it has a lot to do with mental positioning. how does people's perception of society impact investing? Stuff like the stock market, I hear, and even the price of precious metals is really influenced by social turns and fear and all that stuff. If I'm just getting into investing, how should I think about that? Should I think about
Ooh, it can't hurt to think about it. I always say for investing, some of these things can be pretty common sense, so to say. So let's go
it?
ahead
Okay.
and break down, the past presidency. So Biden's in the office. The House is blue, the Senate is blue. So now you can start to think, well, what would a whole Democratic government want? Some people are going to say cleanable, renewable energy. So then the demand
Okay.
for those type of things should increase. So like on paper,
Okay.
it makes sense. Not to say this will ever happen. Who knows yet? Because he might
Right.
not get
Right.
into it. So who knows? But yeah, you're just trying to think about what makes sense on paper. That's what to kind of get you started. And the same for like really a lot of stocks. Like, for the malls, as you mentioned, consumers have a lot to do with how the investment world takes things. So as Amazon kept
Mhm.
growing, people stopped going to the malls. You can expect that some of
Mhm.
these stocks, or these REITs that own the malls, they didn't do too well as far as their value. They have been dropping since then. So the
Okay.
impact that we have on the market is huge, and it can't hurt to try and think ahead of time, because if something happens, you're being reactive, you're not being proactive. And when you're investing, you definitely want to try and do your best to be proactive.
Got you. Got you. It just seems like there's so much going on that impacts how the market moves. Is there a such thing as reading the market? Like I see so many different blogs and so on and so forth about, Wall Street, real estate. Here's all the information you know about this stock, and this stock is going to blow up, and oh, you need to invest over here. Are there any informational sources? I mean, I see some on your page. Feel
Yeah.
free to shameless plug. But are there any resources that really help us make an informed decision when it comes to investing? Especially as a
Yeah.
millennial, because we don't believe nothing, no way. So, you know, help us out.
Man, yeah. So the short answer is yes. There are plenty of resources out there that can say why a stock is going to go up or why a stock is going to go down. And I'll say
Mhm.
this much too. On Wall Street, you got people who've been in the market for many years, paid six
Okay.
figures, and if you get two of those people to look at one stock, they'll see in two different ways. So, one
Right.
person might say, "Hey, I think the stock is going to go down because of A, B, C, D, E." The next person will say, "I think the stock is going to go up because of A, B, C, D, E." Neither
Hmm.
one of them is really right until something right happens. Until then, as you
Right.
mentioned, you make your best formed opinion and make a decision. So, like for Disney stock, honestly, I thought Disney was going to tank this whole year because the parks have been closed. Even though they have other things going on, such as Disney Plus, the sports, I still thought they were going to tank. Obviously, I was wrong on that one. Doesn't mean that, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say because there's just so many opinions out there and so many different resources. I would personally say, if someone's saying they have the perfect answer, it's a guaranteed thing, then
Right.
I'd be a little wary about that.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, if I had the perfect answer, if I knew Tesla was going to do so well last year, brother, I would have sold my house. I would have sold my car, sold all my
He
clothes.
said I would have sold my house.
Like, I was like, who wouldn't sell their house for that if you knew what they were actually going to do? And yet, pretty much,
Right.
there's no way to predict the future. And even if someone could, we probably couldn't afford the answer for them, or they probably wouldn't tell us.
Got you. Got you. Let me ask you this. Now that you've kind of touched on that, are there any telltale signs that someone is trying to take you for a ride? Like, oh man, you gotta come over here. I got you. We gonna make sure that your money is here. Like, if you're getting ready to invest in either a friend's business or a stock or something, how do you know when someone's taking you for when someone's scamming you? How do you know when you're being scammed?
Right. That's a very good question because some people, they might just be like that type of salesy person. Usually for me, if someone's really
Right.
pushing something, I
Because
stay away.
sometimes I see stuff and it looks too good to be true, but I'm like,
Mm,
what if it is? as good as you think it is? Because I mean, somebody had to invest in Microsoft, and they didn't invest in that. Now people who invest in Microsoft are millionaires. Like, so I'm an opportunist sometimes. So how do I know when, like, oh, whoa, pump the brakes?
With this, I think this comes down to your own research. So, as you mentioned, the whole Microsoft thing, and that pretty much happened to Bitcoin a few years back. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's like around 48,000. Yeah, like back then,
Mm-hmm.
someone's really pushing it the same way. It might have even been a scam too, but it might have still been right at the time. Yeah, you just got to do
Right.
your own research, look up the Google reviews. And, I'll say if you feel uncomfortable, then yeah, find another resource. Because yeah, I don't think anyone should feel uncomfortable if you're spending your money and learning from this individual.
Okay. Okay. Got you. When it comes to investments, should we
Mhm.
stick to areas that we're most comfortable and knowledgeable about? And when do we know it's time to expand beyond our comfort zone to take advantage of an opportunity? Um,
All right.
because I'm a nerd, right? I'm a nerd, and I love comic books, and I love, like, I felt like Disney Plus was gonna pop a long time ago because they had all of my Marvel stuff on there, right? So, so, but comic books ain't cranking out a whole bunch of dividends, right? So, what outside of my zone, is there a specific strategy? Well, maybe you can't give it to us now, but is there a strategy you would recommend for people to say, hey, in order for you to create wealth, in order for you to pass down things, here is what I want you to think about. Is there like a three things you would have people think about when it comes to stepping out their
Mm.
comfort zone when it comes to investing?
When it comes to spending out your comfort zone, what I'll suggest is, index funds and ETFs personally. So what those are
Okay.
is just a basket of stocks. Simple as that. So you
Okay.
don't have all your money into one company, you have it into multiple
Right.
different companies. So let's say I feel like the battery industry for these electric vehicles is going to go well. I'm no scientist and I'm a little bit lazy in the sense that I'm not going to read so much material because it's probably going to go right over my head. So
Right.
instead, what I can find an index fund. Well, they kind of done the research for me, and they say, okay, well, we only
Mhm.
invest in the electric vehicle battery companies, so that way,
Right.
A, mitigate my risk. So, if like company A and B go down, I'm not losing all my money. But also, point
Hmm.
B, will make money on the market. I'm not gonna make as
Okay.
much, but I'm not gonna lose as much either. So I'm gonna be like probably right there in the middle. And at the end of the day, a lot of people they do get greedy. They see all the big wins on Instagram, but folks, just get your wins in. Small wins equal big wins all the time.
Okay. That's cool. Let me ask this because I don't want to miss the opportunity to ask you this. When it comes to investing, right? And you just talked about small wins. I think that's important. It's a good transition as well. I don't want to miss this because I often hear a lot about people saying like sweatless victory, right? Or uh,
Mhm.
you know, uh, passive income, your money's working for you, and like you said, it should be working for you. Uh, but how do you know when it's an investment or a get rich quick scheme that we know doesn't work, right? Is there a such thing as passive income that you don't have to set up on the front end? Like, can you really just throw down some money and be like, here, take this cash, I'm good. I'm walking away. Like, is there a such thing as passive income that you don't at least have to set up and put in a little bit of work for it? Or is that just my old school mentality of work till I die? Like, what is there such thing?
I definitely do think there is. So I
Okay.
know two young ladies. They own hotels now, and what they would do is
Okay.
they will find investors for the hotels. So they say, "Hey, you
They'll
put
find what?
50,000." They'll find investors for the hotels.
Okay.
So they open up a hotel. They say, "Okay, the buy-in is about $50,000, and you can make
Mhm.
about 10% back on your money." That one to me is pretty easy passive income. They'll bring us to saying, "Hey, do you believe in us? All right, do you have the $50,000? Do you want to invest?" Simple as that. The other ways for passive income, like that free investing course I do, that take a lot of man hours on the back end. So even then, I would say
Mhm.
that was a good amount of work. And of course, in the middle ground, being able to talking about stocks and REITs, to me, it's not as much work just because, all you have to do is some research and really come to your own formed decision, honestly. So for that one, I can consider that easy passive income. Because like for my dividends,
Okay.
for my REITs, I do a little bit of research. I say, okay, I found 3 REITs I really love. I'm gonna keep investing into those. And yeah, ideally the dividends will keep on paying, and that's my passive income from it.
So there is a such thing as a sweatless victory if you have the money to invest first. But it sounds like
Correct.
in order to have that kind of accomplishment, one, you got to have the money. Two, you have to have someone who's already done the research.
Yep.
um, and three, you still have to do your own homework. Like you can have great opportunities, but you have to have the available income and the research behind you in order to get things done. Um, which
Yep.
I think, as you told us, that would just be good investment. It wouldn't be a get rich quick scheme or
Hmm.
necessarily I'm not doing anything for this money. I mean, I guess you can consider if I only spend 4 hours a week doing research and then the other five, investing or throw my money at something. That's a sweatless victory. That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
I can say that. I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I would
Cool,
say the same
cool.
thing too. I mean, keep in mind, like once you've done the ground research on these companies, you can just keep on investing into them. It's up to the investor. But yeah, sweatless, like 4 hours, looking at a computer and trying to make some decisions, it's not that bad.
Got you, got you. Because sometimes I think we have to put in all this work. And I think I've been listening to a couple of different podcasters. I sampled one of yours too. I actually wanted to get into the discussion about Wall Street, and we don't even have time for that. So, because I wanted to discuss how Wall Street affects the casual investor, but we don't have time for that. So, um, but yes, it sounds like when it comes to investing, it's about having the appropriate information. I'm going to ask you this, and I ask a lot of people this. When it comes to me as an individual investor, and this is going to be our last question, so feel free to show off. But when it comes to investing, uh, who should I have on my team if I'm trying to go into investing and go into it well?
And just make sure I understand your question. When you say on your team, are we talking about different types of stocks, or we're talking about like professionals on your
Professionals.
team?
Professionals. Yep,
Okay.
professionals.
First off, you need, and you can do some of these items on your own. So it just depends where you stand at. So like for
Right,
me, I'll say you need someone who's into investing. I kind of do that for myself. So I don't have anyone for that. I have
right.
a real estate guy. My real estate guy, he kind of knows all about all the property areas here in Atlanta. So I am looking. I say, okay, this might be good because he's been doing his research. He saw some homes in the area. The value is increasing. So right, I got my real estate guy. Probably the
Okay.
most important one is you need a CPA, man. Like these taxes, they will get you out here.
Dude, I wanted to have a conversation with you about taxes because it's tax season right now, but we don't have time for that. Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead. We gotta wrap it up. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, taxes, that's like a big one. And then I would say, you know what? Have a good circle of people who just want to make money. So like for my
Uh,
podcast, it's called the Flavor Podcast. I bring on people who just know different ways of making money. So when I'm
mhm.
near them, they're talking about what they do. It just like sparks some thoughts in my head and say, okay, maybe I do want to get into truck driving now, or maybe I do want to start selling homes outside of the road. Yeah, so I'll say let's have
Right.
some small individuals who are looking to really keep progressing themselves. It's very
Uh-huh.
similar to what I'm say. If you hang around 9 broke people, no doubt you're gonna be the 10th one. All right. So if you
Right.
hang around 9 people, no doubt you'll be the 10th one as well. So I think it's very
Gotcha.
important as far as who the circle is. I'm not saying you have to like get drinks with them every day, but just to have that type of
Right.
circle, being that type of community is ideal.
Gotcha. Okay. So, a real estate guy, a CPA, a helpful investment circle of people who really want to grow and expand. I've also heard a banker and a financial mentor or consultant. And
Yeah.
I think that's actually kind of what you do on your website. So that's a shameless plug for you. Um, so with that being said, we gotta wrap it up. And there were so many other questions I wanted to ask, but we gotta call this an episode. Sir, thank you so much. Please tell us where we could find you at.
Yes, so like a true millennial, all my stuff is on Instagram, y'all. Follow me at the Millennials Next Door. Actually looking to do my third annual summit is going to be coming up in April. So it's pretty much me, 10 other close friends where we just talk about different ways of investing in the markets. So it's really good for beginners, so you can find out which flavor is for you, and they can start to dive.
Yo, that's awesome. Thank you again. Thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure. We're gonna have to have another discussion in the future coming. So thank you for that.
Right. No, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Definitely, definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on another episode of Financial Freedom. This has been a fun discussion. I learned a lot, and I'm going to be researching some stuff. Please check out this man's website and blog. He has some great information up there. As always, I'm your accompaniment on this financial freedom journey. Thank you for joining us. Be safe out there.